What does atheism tell you about the ultimate end? It's a question that sounds bleak at first, almost like opening a door to a dark, cold room. But when you step in and let your eyes adjust, you realize it's not darkness, it's clarity. Atheism doesn't give you a comforting story about eternity. It gives you something arguably more profound: responsibility for the only existence you know for sure you have. From the atheist point of view, the ultimate end isn't a mystical horizon where we wake up in another realm. It's the cessation of consciousness. The end of the movie, not a sequel. For some, that sounds terrifying. For others, it's liberating. Because once you strip away the promise of divine reward or punishment, what's left is the raw, unfiltered significance of this single, fleeting life. Throughout history, humans have built religions to manage the anxiety of death. Ancient Egyptians buried their dead with food and gold to sustain them in the afterlife. Medieval Christians feared damnation so much that they bought indulgences from priests to shorten their suffering in purgatory. But atheism breaks that pattern. It doesn't replace one story with another. It simply stops telling stories where there's no evidence. It stares straight at mortality and says, "This is it." And instead of despairing, it asks, "Then how do we live knowing this?" That question transforms everything. If this life is the only one, then every act of kindness, every piece of art, every shared moment of laughter matters infinitely more. Because it's not practice, it's the real thing. Atheism, far from being nihilistic, can heighten the value of existence. The sunset isn't just a glimpse of divine creation. It's the rare coincidence of physics, light, and perception that will never happen again in exactly the same way. Knowing it won't last doesn't diminish it. It makes it sacred in a very different sense of the word. Philosophers like Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus understood this tension. Camus famously said, "The meaning of life is whatever stops you from killing yourself." He didn't mean it cynically. He meant that meaning isn't handed down, it's built. When you accept the absence of cosmic purpose, you get to define your own. That's the atheist view of the ultimate end, not an apocalypse or judgment, but the recognition that meaning starts and ends with consciousness itself. When you think about it, atheism redefines eternity, not as an endless timeline, but as intensity, because if time is finite, depth becomes the only kind of infinity we can experience. To love someone deeply, to create, to explore, to learn, these become our small eternities, moments that exist fully, even if they don't last forever. Religion often promises comfort in exchange for obedience. Atheism offers discomfort, but also freedom. Without divine authority, morality becomes a human project. You do good not because a God commands it, but because empathy tells you life is better when we minimize suffering. That's a harder morality because it doesn't come with celestial surveillance or afterlife rewards. It's grounded entirely in what kind of world we choose to build now. Science reinforces this worldview. The universe doesn't appear designed for human significance. It's vast, cold, indifferent, and yet we're here, tiny specks of carbon that develop the ability to wonder about it all. From an atheist lens, that's extraordinary. The fact that matter became conscious, even temporarily, is more miraculous than any scripture. The ultimate end, then, isn't something to fear. It's part of the same natural process that allowed us to exist in the first place. Take the stars. Every atom in your body was forged inside a dying star billions of years ago. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the oxygen you breathe, all recycled from stellar explosions. When you die, those atoms will scatter again, forming new stars, new worlds, maybe even new life. You won't exist as why,